Yo YouTube, it's Anarchious, also known as Sir Killington of Color Struck, and I'm here to talk with you on how to kill forced diversity. Black people being forced into everything, black characters being forced into everything, race being forced into everything. You know, we see all the characters with Game of Thrones now, the House of Dragon, we got Black Little Mermaid, and we have the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings thing going on where they have black dwarves and black elves. All fantasy stories, and what we're seeing now is forced diversity being forced upon us instead of it happening naturally. So what I'm gonna teach you guys to do is how to kill that forced diversity. Now, if you are racist, there's no point for you being here right now. You might as well leave right now, okay? Now, for all my Lord of the Rings fans, Game of Thrones fans, Little Mermaid fans, people who love mythology that is usually Anglo mythology and or this is Anglo mythology for the most part, or however you want to call it, white mythology. This is how you kill forced diversity. Stop allowing black and brown creators to be gatekept from the fantasy genre. I'm gonna say it again. Stop allowing the gatekeeping of fantasy creators from the genre, specifically black and people of color. Why? Think about it. What you have right now are black people who are into Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, mermaids, Greek mythology. That's what you're seeing. And those people want representation. But it's nearly impossible for them to get representation because they don't have the market value to greenlight projects that are created by and for the most part have black characters. Now, if you as a fantasy buff, fantasy lover, lore lover, mythology lover were to not only stop people you know, people around you from gatekeeping fantasy from black and brown people, not only stop them from doing that, also patronize black and brown creators, then you would see more black and brown creators get stories they made greenlit for them, and you would see less black and brown people in the media that you don't want them in. Let's not say you don't want them in. You just want the correct vision of the creator that created that world or that mythology. That's what you want. That's really what you want. You have to kill the gatekeeping from black and brown people. If you do not do that, what happens is black and brown people want something, but they're being gatekept from it. How are they being gatekept? It's this right here. It's this right here. As long as you allow that to keep happening to them and labeling things that they create as black shit or woke shit, what's going to continue to happen is that things like Lord of the Rings that originally in the area where it's taking place, Middle Earth, where they don't usually have black and brown people. Let's kill the fact that, you know, people migrate. But when they don't have that, they don't have black and brown people, you're going to start seeing more and more black and brown people taking up spaces in these stories that they would not, for the most part, be a part of. So as long as you allow them to keep being gatekept, they're going to keep showing up in the media that you don't necessarily want them to show up in because it's Anglo-Saxon based, right? That's what you people are saying, right? So, for example, I love Star Wars. The first time I seen the very first Star Wars movie, I was hooked. There was not a black person in that. I love Dragon Ball. And in an extreme example, I love Dragon Ball Z. And the representation for black people in Dragon Ball Z historically has been racist and fucked up, right? Regardless of whether you believe Mr. Popo and all Mr. Black and all those characters are black or not. And no, we're not counting Oob because Oob is an Indian boy and Miss Hercule, although he has an afro, more than likely is an Asian guy, right? So the black representation in Dragon Ball Z is terrible, but I still love it, but I will still call it out. I can identify with characters and creators that are not black, but you yourselves find yourselves seeing black things and saying that's black woke stuff, completely disregarding it and allowing that gatekeeping to continue. And because you allow that gatekeeping to continue, it will continue. The things you want to see in your media, the things you want to see in your fantasy realms are going to continue to be diluted with black people being cast as characters that you don't want to see them as. In order for you to get what you want, you as a people, as a community, have to stop gatekeeping black creators and black creations. You yourselves have to support these people as well. The same way I've seen all 3 Lord of the Rings films, not a black face in that. Star Wars, Star Trek has always been kind of diverse. But there are a lot of these things that are historically white fantasy and a lot of black people love, but they don't never see themselves as. But now, because of capitalism, these companies see that, oh, these people, these black and brown people want to give us their money for representation. And historically speaking, none of their creators have gotten love from this community. So what we have to do is insert them into places where you guys, you the community, don't want them to be. If you want to kill forced diversity, you yourselves have to get over your ego and learn to identify with characters that don't look like you. And I've already told black people, the only way for us to get ahead is to support black creators and black writers. That's how to get us in the movies, so we don't have to beg for characters and we don't have to beg for movies and non-oppressive movies. Support black creators. I told black people, but now I'm telling the community, the fantasy community, the Middle Earth community, the mythology, mermaid community, the fucking Game of Thrones people, that if you want to see what you love be seen in the correct light, that you have to kill the gatekeeping of black and brown people, characters and writers and creators. You have to kill the gatekeeping of that in your community. As long as that gatekeeping is there, that means there is no money for black and brown creators to create their own shit. Because it doesn't make sense to say, create your own shit. You're telling us to create our own shit. Well, we're creating our own shit. When we bring our shit to when we bring our stuff to companies and to big markets to be sold to everybody, not just black people now, to everybody, it gets wholly disregarded because, oh, that's not real fantasy. Oh, vampires and werewolves can't be black. Oh, these things can't be black. Oh, black magic is historically a European thing. It's not it can't be a black thing, even though, mythology comes from Africa. Where you think it started? It had to start somewhere. It didn't start in Europe. So anyway, in order for you to get what you want and get the vision that you want, you have to stop the gatekeeping. Stop it. Otherwise, as long as you continue to say, oh, it's all, y'all already focus on race, but, when we bring up we want representation, you're like, make your own. We make our own. We bring it to the company. The company's like, there's no market for you. You know why there's no market for you? Because white people are 60% of the population and black people 14% of the population. Now, when you break those numbers down to these people who love fantasy, there are black people who love fantasy, but it's not all of us. And there's a great amount of white people who love fantasy. There's probably more white people who love fantasy than there is a population of black people in America. So that inequity causes what we're seeing right now. And for whatever reason, white people in America, for some reason, when they see something black, they label it black or woke or whatever negative thing they can label it as. They do that and unknowingly unknowingly besmirk black creations and essentially curse them into not succeeding, right? And a lot of you guys, what you do is you will go to like Marvel Comics and you love black characters from big markets and big companies. All of those characters are created by white people. None of them are created by black people. So you're gatekeeping us from something that we love as well, but then getting mad and saying, create your own shit. But when we do, we can't get it off because you stigmatize, you besmirch it, you make it a negative thing to have a black main character, or to have black characters who are not this stereotype of what white people are used to when they see black people. So it is your job to kill forced diversity. And until you do so, you're going to continue seeing faces like me as elves and dwarves, even though historically speaking and methodically speaking and lore thinking, it don't make sense to you. If you want one thing, you have to do the other. You can't, it's like black people want to make black creations. I am a writer. I've created fantasy stories, lycans, vampires, witches, warlocks, shit like that. Fucking mutants, fucking elementals, gods, all types of shit. And it's all based on European, for the most part, European and African mythology. Some of it's some European in there, but for the most part, it's African mythology. But when you see that, you see it's black stuff. And when you stigmatize it that way, it's like only black people are supposed to buy this stuff. And there's some black people who see that this is black stuff, so they won't buy it because they know it's not going to get popular. So it's not going to be something to talk about like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Star Trek, something to fucking fan out over. How about you do that? Kill your own biases, and forced diversity will die with the gatekeeping that's going on in your community. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all. I love you. Goodbye.